Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Harakah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, all rule well. And shalom to the hopeful elect. It's Pile of the James London camp. And I have an article here from USA Today. The title reads, Upcoming UFO Report will be difficult to explain, former national intelligence official says. A former top national intelligence official hinted that an upcoming government report on UFOs will include information that cannot easily be explained. Alright? I'm not sure. Alright, well, obviously, I'm not aware of what that information will be. But we know when it comes to the, so-called UFOs, we understand that that's the chariots of Israel. Alright, when you open the Bible, you go to various scriptures, it basically breaks down that what the world knows as UFOs is in the Bible, all right? That's described as, when you go back to Egypt, described as the Exodus, when we came out of Egypt, was described as a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, all right? That went before the children of Israel, right, our forefathers. So, and then you have Elisha seeing them, Elijah getting caught up by one. You have various different times in history where it's spoke of, right? So that's what is known. So for them to say that they don't, for a top national intelligence official to basically say like the information isn't going to be easy to explain, I'm not banking on him coming out with a true understanding of what it is, all right? Because that would basically not fit Esau's characteristics first and foremost, all right? And not benefit him in his agenda that he's going forth, all right? So more than likely he's gonna twist the agenda for his favor and his so-called, for his new world order, all right? So-called new normal, so-called new world order, to basically establish it. So anyway, reading on, it says, there are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of the things that we've seen, and when that information becomes declassified, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. Former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe told Fox News Maria Bartiromo on Friday. All right, so let me read that again. There are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of the things that we've seen, and when that information becomes declassified, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. All right. So jumping down, it says Ratcliffe said some UFO sightings have been declassified in the past, but a report to be released by the Pentagon, right, and other federal agencies will present more information to the American people. All right, and this is ultimately going to go out to the globe. And remember, the Pentagon is based where? In Washington, D.C., all right, which D.C., District of Columbia, is basically one of the foul frogs that's spoke of in the book of Revelations, all right, which is ultimately the war arm of the free city-states that Esau has control over, coupled with or alongside the UK, the city of London, which is a financial capital, and then as well you have Vatican City, which is basically the religious, the spiritual capital. But with the Pentagon being the war arm or the war capital of Esau, you can expect to gain an advantage over the people. They're gonna pump lies, all right? Because ultimately, they know that the so-called UFOs are hostile to this whole world that they rule presently, all right? It tells you in the book of Zechariah, the 5th chapter, which let me just read that. It says Zechariah 5:1 says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. the length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side, according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side, according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord. So obviously, I'm just steamrolling through it. But when you read it, all right, Zechariah basically looked up in the sky and saw a flying roll in the sky, all right, and which could only be described as, what the so-called white man would call today as not only, but if we're going to describe it by something that is applied to this modern day terminology that Esau Edom uses, the so-called white man, it'd be a UFO, all right, an unidentified flying object. So it says, and he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. So this, in fact, is a curse. That's why you're seeing all this, I was going to say aerial phenomena. You see in the chariots of Israel, right, in the midst of the land at all times, right? Because that's basically our salvation. Lord willing, we be of the elect. That's our salvation to get away from this captivity, all right? We came over here in slave ships, but we'll be going out in spaceships, all right? So it says, let me read it again, verse 3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on that and on this side, according to it. And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side, according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of the house of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. All right? So that's what the chariots are really talking about. All right? That's what is the true meaning of UFO sightings, so-called UFO sightings. All right? That the chariots of Israel sign unto us of the curses that are upon the so-called white man, Esau Edom, which basically is the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven. There have been sightings all over the world, Ratcliffe said. And when we talk about sightings, the other thing I will tell you, it's not just a pilot or just a satellite or some intelligence collection. Usually we have multiple sensors that are picking up these things. So they're saying this in fact is, a so-called UFO. This is not just a random occurrence. They actually saw it and they know that it's legit. Something outside of the realms of their knowledge, okay? And really simply and plainly, it's a film of prophecy, all right? And it's a sign unto our salvation that help is near, all right? So it says, Ratcliffe said, elements that are hard to explain in the unreleased sightings include movements that are hard to replicate or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without creating a sonic boom. Yeah, because the Heavenly Father's vehicles define all the the restrictions that's applied down here, man. It the ability to move in a manner that is unimaginable for an airplane on this side, right? And going through the sound barrier and breaking without a sonic boom. That's all stuff that's to the strength and power of the Heavenly Father, all right? So as the report is expected to be released on June 1st, Baturamo said later in the program, all right? So this is unfortunately the video's not working. I tried to refresh, but it wasn't working. But as you can see, this is just letting you know it's gearing up the minds of the people, all right? And this is really the spirit, this is Esau making his tongue to fall upon himself, all right? And the main, like I said, this is a curse that got forth, in the house of the thief, being Esau. But the main reason as well is that it's Yahweh Shai's return, right? being made known before the people. So this is Acts 1:9. It says, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. All right? And we know that cloud is describing a chariot of Israel. When you go to the book of Psalms, it basically breaks down that the Heavenly Father makes the clouds his chariots. Verse 10, while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, as he looked up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you have seen him go into heaven. All right? So the same way you saw him leave is the same way he's going to come right back. Right? So this is Revelations 1 and 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him. All right, so this, Gil Scott-Heron had the song like the revolution will not be televised, but in this case it will be. Right, that's biblical prophecy. And those who pierced him, the Roman soldiers that were back there, all right, that pierced him, they're being reincarnated in his lifetime, and they're going to see the Lord in this time. And all the kindreds of the earth shall well because of him, even so Amen. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Waiting to see what information comes out as far as with this stuff, but for the most part, it's just more, Actually, let me read that. This is Psalms 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All right. So it's going to be interesting to see how, in what fashion they make their tongue fall upon themselves. But even, making it known is just is prophecy being fulfilled within itself. Zechariah the 5th chapter. All right, and it lets you know the time that we're in. Okay. So with that, I pray you'll edify to the next one. I say shalom.